All right, welcome back to Planet Gen X, the podcast that's as good as sex. Thank you. All right. How you doing today, Brian?
I'm pretty good. How you doing, man?
I'm excellent, man. I'm sure it remains to be seen whether it's as good as sex. But yeah, man, I'm really happy to be here. Another Saturday.
I don't know about you, but me and probably a lot of Gen Xers haven't had really good sex in a long time.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. It's been a few days for me, for sure. Weeks. I'll be honest, it's weeks. It hasn't been months, though, I can say that, but before that, it was months, so, man.
Well, I just mean good sex, like the last probably 3 or 4 partners I've had wasn't good sex, you know?
Oh, man, that's stiff.
It was like in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was saying, you know what, man? That's funny you should bring that up, because I was thinking about an old girlfriend of yours the other day. A stripper that you went out with a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was funny because I was thinking about the Static X show and I saw her there and I was so drunk and she saw me and you know the look girls get in their face when they see this guy just kind of wobbling in front of them and you going, "Hey, I know you." Right. She's like, "Oh my God, what the fuck is that?"
Get away.
Yeah. And then I'm sashay right up to her and stand next to her and I was like, "Yeah, I know somebody, you know, blah, blah, blah." I mean, I probably all but said that yeah, I know somebody you're fucking.
Yeah.
It was a good show. I enjoyed that show. She was a good looking woman too. One of the best at that particular establishment.
Agreed. I went back to that establishment a little while ago. It's been maybe a year and I've changed, and it has changed too.
Yeah, I imagine, dude. I hadn't been there in so long. In fact, I've seen the bouncer more recently than I've seen the the actual place, which was back when you and I last worked together. I saw him shortly after that.
I was gonna say the bouncer I remember has passed. There's new people. Oh, the big guy,
big K is gone, huh?
Yep.
Damn, I did not know that. Yeah, I saw him. He came in the shop about a year after you left.
Yeah. It was checked out.
That sucks, man. Of course, that was like 2012 or something like that. It was a long time ago. Jesus,
long time ago.
That was 11 years ago. Holy shit. Damn, yeah, I guess he did. He had a weight problem, man. I'm surprised he lived as long as he did, honestly.
Yeah.
That was a big old boy.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Wow.
Cool dude, though.
Yeah, he absolutely was. And everybody knew who he was. All the men did.
Man, it took forever to actually get to know him at all. Like, I didn't know him well, but he's the guy at the front. He's always got to have that.
Oh yeah,
that exterior.
Yeah. He's got to be Boba Fett, man. Just like standing there, like in Jabba's palace, looking intimidating and shit. Well, I looked up though. I had another. Rest in peace, former friend of ours, Big Jim, knew him well, and we used to go up there all the time. And I went up there a few times, and he let me in on the down low. There's nothing like not having to pay that ridiculous cover charge, man. Can't stand
right?
That shit. Ugh, I'm somebody. No, not really. But shit, it's
almost enough to make you want to date a stripper.
Oh, right, exactly. Jesus.
Almost.
But I mean, if I'm drinking, man, don't give me that.
Right.
Those were the days, man. That's the end of that. Yeah, I'm sure. I just have no desire for that. I don't drink anymore. They won't let you smoke weed in there.
It was interesting to hang out. A couple of our friends that used to frequent there with us went out with me. It was one of their birthdays or something, I think. I can't recall. And the wife of one of them, obviously, right?
Yeah, right.
He was the social butterflies and lap dance at the stage.
She's more fun to watch than the strippers, in my opinion, man.
Yeah, me too. It's like a kid in a candy store.
She enjoys herself. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing a podcast. Yeah,
we are.
Planet Gen X, where all the Gen Xers come to talk about their sad, pathetic lives. We still get sex, kids. That's all that matters.
Even if it is old and arthritic.
That's right. Doesn't always have to be missionary.
Right.
So I guess we can just go ahead and, since we have no good segue between that and the news, we'll just go diving straight into the news.
Was there news?
There is some news. You started out the week wondering if there was going to be news, but we added some in there. Or I added some in there. There's not much, but just in case, well, I don't know. We won't say what the show's about today because that might be in the up in the air right now.
Okay.
We'll just see where it lands. How about that? So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the news. There goes some great news for Star Trek fans this week. I guess you saw that, where, of course, there was nothing to go with it other than a poster. It was like a video of a poster, I think, is what I saw. Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Getting season 3 has been announced for June 15th. And they, wait, I wrote that down completely wrong, dude. I wrote that down as season 3 release date. Star Trek is going to say season 3. We haven't seen season 2 yet. Yeah, season 2 release date is for June 15th, and they have picked up for a season 3. There we go. I got it all out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so that makes more sense.
They had Christopher Pine on the
the
thing,
poster.
Right?
Yeah. Man, they must have just last minuted that because there wasn't a lot of thought put into it. But I mean, it's great to know. It looks like we're going to have a little bit of a lull there after Picard goes off. There won't be just straight into more Trek, which, like, I think last year we had the same Trek, the same Trek. We had Trek going on almost year round, whether it be cartoons or whatever. And I'm sorry, y'all, I just don't have time for the cartoons. I've seen them. They are fun. I was actually surprised that they had so much cussing in it. I thought it was going to be very kind of kid slang, and it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was definitely more, Seth MacFarlane type stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's just I'm sick of animation, man. This is weird to hear me say that. We had so much Star Wars animation stuff, and I wanted live action forever that I'm just animationed out, just like I'm superheroed out. So yeah, you can come back at another time when it's had less.
I gotta say, Pine makes one of my favorite captains.
Oh, he's awesome, man. Ever since I saw him in Hell on Wheels, dude, I've just been all about that guy. Yeah. I absolutely love that show. And
not just. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he did a great job in it.
Well, not just him as an actor, but like that particular character. Pretty in depth. There's a lot to that character.
Yeah. Well, it's weird too, and they gave him the knowledge that he knows what's going to happen to him.
Right.
That's pretty wild. So yeah, we can look forward to that on June 15th. Yeehaw! Now,
cool.
Moving on to let's see. Let's move on to TikTok ban. This kind of sucks because there's actually 2 bills out there.
Right.
Important that people know which is which. The Restrict Act is the Senate bill, and Senate bill equal bad.
Right.
Senate bill bad because
it's not just TikTok.
Yeah, it's not just TikTok, man. They use TikTok as an excuse to slide in shit in there, like the use of a VPN to bypass certain stuff can get you jailed for 20-year jail sentence. I had in there. There would be a crypto ban included in that. So no. That's bad stuff. I mean, that's just the iceberg. Y'all can go and look at what's all in there and probably watch videos on what people have broken down and what it involves. But there is a bill in the House that is just a TikTok ban bill, which I can get behind for a couple reasons. Well, the main reason is it's a known fact that China has used espionage devices in the past in things like VCRs and in just household computer appliances or whatever. They found this stuff in there for no other reason. Why is it there? It's not part of anything to do with anything. Whether they've actually found if it did anything or not, that's a whole other story. But the fact is that it happens and they force their manufacturers to do this. But there's also what can be fed to people, how people see things. and just not having it. It's just not in our interest. It's a huge security threat, and I don't want to get into too in the weeds on it, but it's just really not in our interest to have something like that, especially on government devices. I think one of the bills is just trying to keep it limited to government devices, banning.
And that's not just us, that's pretty common in the EU and a lot of other nations.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Trying to get it off of government devices.
They have no scruples in what they do, and getting information however they can get it. Just not good to just hand it to them.
Right.
There are going to be plenty of other outlets that fill the void if they need to be filled. Some already come close. I heard some people say it'll never be the same as TikTok. I don't know, man. If you know what it does, certainly somebody can do something similar.
To be honest, TikTok is nothing like Vine. Vine was its own thing.
Right.
And there were a ton of videos from Vine that were great.
Yeah.
So it'll change.
Yeah. And they'll get it. You know what, though? It's a fad as well. They'll get over it. Like, it might even ban itself just from their own change in what they like at the time. We're all susceptible to what the kids like, y'all. So whatever they decide it's crap, we'll move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, just remember. Hopefully that Senate bill does. Y'all, if that Senate bill goes through, I don't know what to tell you. We've been in a bizarro world for a while, so I would never say never, but it definitely wouldn't be a good thing. It's grabbing power and very 1984, but very scary.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on to some. Well, I tell you what, we'll stay within the hardware or the software space there for a minute. The Twitter algorithm went open source yesterday, which is Friday for those of you keeping track, March 31st. We're recording today, April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day, Brian.
Thank you.
I don't want to go off. I was about to go off. I was about to go off on a tangent, and then my ADHD fucking spidey sense went off and said, "Don't do it, don't do it." And see, we're doing it right now anyway. But the Twigger, the Twitter algorithm. That sounds like Elmer Fudd. Jesus Christ. The Twitter algorithm went open source today. Most of it, not all of it. So. Right. Yay, Elon, for being transparent. He is getting a ton of shit from all over. I hate that. I really do, man. You can't win for losing. No matter what you do.
At the end of the day, man, he's just another guy trying to protect his brand and doing all the messed up things that people do when they do that.
Yeah. And, well,
I mean, maybe some of it's warranted. I'm sure some of it's not, but he's like a finance bro, basically. So.
I don't know. I mean, he's doing what he's doing. Doing it well. I don't know what to say other than that. Smart. He's doing something right, better than I am, at least.
Right.
For now.
Yeah.
That's all I really got to say about the algorithm. I just appreciate the fact that people have a chance to look and see what really goes on in there, and devs will be able to work with it better too, because they'll have access to it. And, it'll make things. It'll probably allow more end users that weren't big corporations to have kind of a way into Twitter now.
More of a platform.
Yeah, through the API. Yeah. So I expect good things. I like open source. I am a fan. Definitely.
Only people that don't like open source are the people who are going to profit off of it not being open source.
Yeah, or have something to hide too.
Right.
Let's see. Wow. Let's jump over to the kind of the gaming side of things with E3, man. I couldn't believe this when I saw it. Yeah. Canceled for 2023. The biggest electronics gaming show. Just, gaming electronics, stuff like that. It's just crazy to even think about it. Not going to on this year. They seem to think not the end of it, though.
Well, I mean, it's scary to think of how it could come back, because as far as I understand it, the whole reason it was canceled was there was just not the interest there for it.
There is none.
Around.
Yeah. Well, they had the COVID thing happen, so they were doing everything through streaming, and then they all started looking at each other and go, "Hey, then why are we even going over here? When we can just send out the streams." And for me, I like trade shows because you get to glad hand with people, and usually there's a party involved and stuff like that. It's fun times. You get off work for a week or at least 3 or 4 days. Or if you are working, you're kind of half-ass working. It's kind of, it's fun times anyway. And that's a chance for the end user who never really gets to interact with devs and stuff like that, a chance to speak to people right then and there and all that good jazz. And whether they give you a chat window or whatever to talk to them through a stream, which I doubt, I think that's lost.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a con, right?
Right.
And you can't live stream a con. It's just not.
Doesn't work.
It's not what you want from a con.
No, people want to come dressed up as their favorite characters and interact. Like I say, it's very social.
Yeah.
And there can be social aspects to doing online stuff, but it's very limited. And it's really neo-social. I mean, it's
it's social events for geeks, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously it's going to trend that way.
Yeah. Just don't know. There's something to be said about being in the same room with somebody sometime, having a conversation. It just goes, like we say, further away from human contact. Not going outside to play. Just GenXers love. Anyway, yeah, it just wowed me enough to say it's got to be in the news. Sad. I hope they come back, but I don't see it.
Yeah, it is sad.
Another also sad thing, or an interesting thing, is the PlayStation VR 2, which has blown critics away with how good it is, but is a sales flop right now for Sony.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. I got an article there, and it came out kind of say for like one of the big titles for the VR2 is the Gran Turismo 7, which my dad has. He doesn't have the VR2 headset, but that game is just incredible looking. So I can imagine the joy of having that headset on and just being able to look around as you're driving, seeing the guy next to you, or just checking your mirror just by tilting your head. Me just using the controller, how they have the 6-axis controller, which has been around for a long time now, but this PlayStation 5 one is just really spot on. The control was just so good. You didn't even need a steering wheel, in my opinion, but if you wanted to go full whole hog, get the cockpit and deck it out with the pedals and the steering wheel and the shifter and all that shit and get you a VR, they really say you can't go wrong with that PlayStation VR 2. I guess the price is high. I don't even actually know what it is price-wise.
Well, were they running on a Meta backbone of any sort?
I have no idea. I don't know if they were involved with them or not.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened to Disney's metaverse stuff.
Oh, really?
Why they canceled it? Because of failures of Meta.
Well, yeah, Meta's tanking, man. He bought that Meta name and changed everything and pretty much bet the farm on it.
And lost.
Lost big time, man. It's not right. It's not ready yet.
Yeah.
You know when it'll be ready? Go see that movie. What's that movie called? Ready to Play? Is that right? Is that Ready Player One? Yeah. When it's like that movie, that's when everybody.
Right.
It's great. Don't get me wrong. I've played some VR and I love it, but I know one thing that hurt. There was a long time people couldn't even get those headsets. A couple of years ago, they were hard to get. So it's the PlayStation problem where you can't get it. Everybody's after it. The Oculus 2, I think it was.
Right.
It had just come out, and you could not get them for love nor money. So that probably shot them in the foot right there.
Probably.
Trying to force people to do anything is going to give you just about the exact opposite reaction.
Yeah.
Here we are with all our problems today. And then the final thing is Metallica dropped another single. yesterday, I think.
I have something to tack onto this when you get done.
Okay.
But let's talk about the single.
The single, which I listened to, but also started getting involved with other stuff, so I didn't give it like my full attention as I should. But I did get hooked into the chorus, grabbed my attention, so that means it is okay. I will listen to it a second time, and I know it'll be all right. So for me, that's 4 of 5 all right songs so far for a modern Metallica. I think it was the third one, of which I can't remember the name of. I think it was the third one that came out that I just thought was pure trash. Other than that, they've pretty much had a decent hook in each one, and that's all. That's what it's all about, folks. If it don't grab you and move you, what the fuck are we listening for?
Well, my tack on to that was, have you heard about the Power Trip Festival?
No, I have not.
So Power Trip Festival, when is it? October 6th through the 8th, Indio, California, Empire Polo Field, Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, and Tool.
Jeez.
Right?
But that's like $500 a ticket.
Right.
I know Metallica alone's like, almost 200. Last time they came through this way, they were almost like 165, I think.
I think there was one tour that Tool did where they tried to do something about their ticket prices, but they've always been pretty expensive too, if I recall.
Well, let me rant on that for just a second, because first of all, the artists can do what they want to, and they try, a lot of them. But y'all, if y'all look, like I had been out of buying tickets for a while, and then about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I had bought some wrestling tickets. And you get to see how much they charge for the ticket, and then you get to the end of it, and you have this, excessive fees that just get tacked on it. And when it's all said and done, literally my ticket was double the price of what the WWE was asking.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
The Cure just had a big fallout with that and Ticketmaster. Yeah, no,
that's absolute bullshit. And it's all because Ticketmaster has an absolute monopoly on everything. There used to be 4 or 5 ticket places around the country. TicketLink used to be the one in our area for the longest time. Yeah. And then, of course, they bought them out too. But TicketLink was no better. They had similar practices where they had fees. But listen, I get it. You're going to have, here's the crazy ththing. So you look on this ticket I was looking at, it has the service fee, the one you're used to, the one you've paid your whole fucking life that you expect to, but you're going to pay. That's about, $13, $15, somewhere in there, $12, $15. You're going to pay that. It's the new fees, man. And then they want you to buy the insurance on top of that, just in case something goes down and that show doesn't happen. That way you can make sure you get your money back, because otherwise you ain't getting your money back. And that's bullshit.
It used to be unheard of that somebody would cancel a date, but
right.
Ever since the 90s, the aughts, something like that, it was a major concern.
Yeah, and then COVID put the nail in it, man.
Yeah.
All the gigs got canceled and people lost their ass.
Right.
Through the insurance companies and stuff like that. Listen, I mean, that kind of thing happens once in a blue moon. I mean, look, how long ago has that happened? Never. Okay, so, it's no reason to go to these ridiculous measures. Go back to your ways of honoring ticket sales. If the show doesn't go through, then that's your fucking problem, not ours. That's why you're the promoter. You take the responsibility. Now you're putting the responsibility on the end user, and that's just garbage, man. First of all, to me, it borders on false advertising. I know they lay it all out there at the end, but I mean, it's bullshit to tell me that the ticket price is $45 when out the door I'm going to end up at $90. Right. That's asinine. That's all I got to say about that.
Kind of some boomer pricing you got going there.
Yeah, man. What the fuck, dude?
It's more like it goes from 200 to 500.
Dude, I mean, I don't know what they think people are made of, man. A concert should not be a fucking, like you're going on a cruise, man. I mean, this is the kind of money you save to go on a cruise. That's a big event, a life event. A concert should not be a life event. I mean, yes, in a way it is a life event, but not that kind of life event, like you're going on vacation. I mean, they got me angry about that shit. And I hadn't had to pay for any in a while. We went to the Tesla show this past summer. That wasn't bad because it was handled through they were doing like a mostly casino tour. Right. So the casinos, they have their own little thing going on anyway, where they can handle their own ticket sales and whatnot. So we didn't get gouged for that. That was a very nice. Of course, they had their service fee, just like I was happy to pay. No problemo. I can't remember if they required me to buy insurance or not, which I never do. I just roll the dice, man.
Right.
You know? Come on. If they can help it, they're not going to cancel the artist anyway. Hopefully not the whole gig.
Right.
But anyway, that's that with that. And that's the news. Thanking you.
All right. What else we got on board for today?
Well, I want to know what you want to tell me. Said you had something for me to remind you to tell you.
Oh, it's the power trip thing.
Oh.
I just thought it was interesting, list of headliners.
That was it, though? I thought you had something else, too, you wanted to talk about.
Did I?
I don't know.
ADHD.
I thought you were going to lay on me some mind-blowing stuff. Speaking of ADHD, by golly, thank you for setting me up with that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and talk about ADHD this episode, which has been a running joke. I've been trying to do this forever. But listen, man, we are neurodivergent. Let's just start out with that. That neurodivergent encompasses like the ADHD, the autism, anybody that's like a functioning human that has some neurological issues that can be very severe or not so severe. No, that doesn't help you very much, but I guess mostly high functioning. Or I don't guess it has to be high functioning. I don't want to say
it doesn't.
Yeah,
I mean, like it spans the spectrum.
Yeah.
Speaking of autism,
spectrum.
Right.
I feel like I wish I could put a rainbow effect on me. I mean, I know I could. Would I do it? No.
Little glitter.
Yeah. There we go. That's gonna be our. Go ahead and do extras, so I have some cool shit to pull a grab from. Oh, I got wasted before I got on this morning. I mean, this afternoon. It's still this afternoon.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not the morning.
Yeah, it's like 5:00. Holy shit. So yeah, the neurodivergent, and I've got it pretty bad. Yeah, I have a hard time with it. Of late, it seems. At times, it doesn't seem to bother me at all, but I do have a shit ton going on, and I think that's probably the main part of it. It just got me fragmented.
Yeah. Well, my thing, for me, I've noticed a lot of times that a lot of the stuff that is listed on, sites about ADHD and stuff like that, mine is primarily, there are two sectors of it, right? And one of them has more to do with focus, and the other one has more to do with hyperactivity.
Right.
And I'm more on the hyperactivity side, man. I cannot sit still. And honestly, I don't know if that's like, the ADHD, if it's genetic, if it's, from living with my father when I was younger, because he also can't sit still.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking as of recent, it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm not so much ADHD, man. Maybe I've got these other comorbidity shit going on. And, that's why I don't really, when I read these list of ADHD things, it doesn't always apply, but I can go back to, some of the videos I'll catch on YouTube are from like 2 years ago or less.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it really doesn't sound a lot like me. But if I go back 8 years when they were still trying to expand on it and looking back to like past stuff to define it and whatnot, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I know what you're saying too, because I've had a lot of these videos, I see a lot of similarities, ton of similarities. But like I mentioned the one couple that I like that has the book. What's his name? Richard Pink and Roxanne. Roxanne Emery. It's right here in front of me.
There you go.
It's interesting because they did one video where she's talking about, babe, it's so great how she says babe a lot. Babe, it's so great how you babe, it's so great. They're both British. It's awesome. It's so great how you can like do the laundry and be so organized and get, and I can't do that. And see there, and I've told them this, I've left them a comment, there is where we're very different. Now it's almost like I have the two of them combined inside me. Like I've got all her ADHD issues, but somehow, and I'm only finding this as I'm getting older now too, I'm finding myself getting a little more OCD. I really am. I'm finding myself that way. And I wonder if too, in my house, I do everything as far as like, if you were to like go to the classic, nuclear family, the man does everything.
From the 50s?
The woman, cooks in the kitchen type thing. If you were to apply that to our house, it would be the exact opposite. My wife would be in like the man's role, and I would be doing the cooking and cleaning and stuff like that. Just the way I like it. My wife sucks at cleaning, so I prefer to do it, but that's also because of my ADHD. I've got to make sure it's on point. So it's weird because I hear her say that, and I'm thinking, well, wow, that's so weird that I have his capability where she's like, I wish I had it.
Right.
But I think it's because I've had to be that way. In this, you adapt in your relationship. If you want a successful marriage, it's all about compromise. And I hit the gold mine with my wife. I've got the perfect companion. She doesn't give me trouble. She doesn't fuss and henpeck. She's as good as having a dude for a friend. I mean, she really is. Is it a drag that she sucks at cleaning? Yeah, but it's just the way the relationship works. It works out well. That I'm happy to go and get her a drink out of the fridge, just like back in the day, a man would expect a woman to do.
Right.
It's no big deal for me. I'm happy to do it for her because I love her. It's just and that's why I say I'm lucky, because not everybody gets that, man. Nobody gets their perfect mate. It's like you're really lucky if you get your perfect mate. So I'm very fortunate in that regard, but I think it's forced me to adapt to situations to where I just have to deal with it. And that's how I've looked at ADHD anyway my whole life, because I'm not medicated for it. I've had to self-medicate for it. So, that dopamine chase that everybody talks about with ADHD, I've self-medicated for that. Still smoked a weed to keep myself nice and calm, and without that, and it's also it's strictly medicinal. I know everybody laughs when you say it, but it really is. I was not smoking. I came back to it for no reason.
Well, it also, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if you know different, please. It also helps with the regulation issue that's prevalent in ADHD, which is not to say that, you're not able to, it's a regulation of emotion thing, where as opposed to like lashing out or yelling or any of that stuff where you would expect that to be, you can't process it really, right? It's always a problem. My big thing is, anytime I get into a realm of deep focus and I'm working on something that, I really need to pay attention to, there's always, sooner or later, something's going to happen and it's going to pull my attention away from that. And it's just really hard for me to get back into that zone, and it kind of ruins the whole thing for me.
I know exactly what you mean, man.
Yeah.
And there's a good example of something I did, but I didn't expand on like I normally would. There's this thing that ADHDers do, which it's like relating. It often comes out as you trying to manipulate, like make the conversation about yourself.
Right.
Very common thing, but it's actually our way of relating to somebody else. Like, say, you come into work, you're telling me, man, I just had, something done to my knee, man. My knee I've had surgery on my knee, or let's just say I hurt my knee somehow. And I'm like, yeah, man, but I listened to what you said, and then I say, yeah, man, I had that same thing happen to me. I know exactly how you feel, and you're just trying to relate so you can, because you just want to have understanding. You want them to feel comfortable. It's our way of thinking we're making them feel comfortable in the situation by relating to them. But what we don't see is what they think is we're just trying to make it all about us. That's
right. Or Still Their Thunder, or
right. Yeah,
something like that.
And yeah, so there's a lot of things. I guess you could call them maybe people need like a conversion or an interpreter somehow.
Yeah.
Sometimes to understand. If you have somebody that that does this kind of thing that doesn't know they have ADHD, it might be something. You never know. There's so many different things to try to think of others.
Well, there's a really common thing of finishing somebody's thoughts.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a big one. And I mean, for me, I do it. I'm aware of it, so I do it less than I used to. But at the same time, there are just some people that you talk to. It's like, get to the point, right? It's like, I know what you're going to say. Don't waste my time saying it.
Yeah,
tell me what you're trying to tell me.
We're the worst about that, man.
Right.
And that's another thing too. We will find the quickest way to deal with the situation.
Right.
We're good at that. And 9 times out of 10, it's a very good way. It's not always the best, but it's the quickest, most efficient way. That's probably the best way to say the most efficient way. We try and find the most efficient way of doing everything. So you want us working for you. Every job I've ever had, I end up being bored as fuck because my coworkers will be still toiling away, and I'll be done with whatever I'm doing.
I think it's also kind of a multi-pronged thing because, most people encounter a problem and they're like, there's precedents for this, I do it this way, whatever. They view it very simply. But for us, we can kind of like zoom out a little bit and be like, okay, maybe are we something I've been talking about with my therapist recently. Are we treating the problem? Or are we treating the symptom?
Right.
And how much time do we have to work on either or?
That's a good thing. I've heard that from other therapists before about treating the problem, treating this.
Right.
Other things, like just forgetting stuff. Putting a load. This one happens to me all the time. This is actually one of the videos from Roxanne. Putting a load of washing in, forgetting to empty it. And I've had that happen, and I've gotten a lot better about it. What I do, I have a thing now to remind me that there is laundry in, and that's to leave the laundry room light on. Because I'm super anal about any excess electricity being
power.
Yeah, super anal about it. I mean, like I go and pull all the bricks out of when I'm done with them and everything.
Yeah.
So for me to leave that light on has got my brain twitching like hell. In the very back, there's a little bitty thing going, you left that fucking light on. You left that fucking light on. You left that fucking light on. And it reminds me that I got to go get that fucking, and in fact, when we're done with the podcast, I got to go get it out of the laundry right now because I've got some in there. But yeah, that's a common thing. Do you often experience that one? Or do you have something that you do like that?
I mean, there are a lot of things that I don't even think about anymore that I picked up like high school or maybe after that I did to like target things like that. So I can't really think of what they are necessarily, but they are definitely there.
Yeah.
It's just they've been part of me for so long that it's natural now.
Tell me about it, man. Like that's why, I think people probably get to, at least people closest to me, and my wife mainly, probably gets tired of hearing about this shit because I am finding out so much more that I just thought I was just a fucking quirky ass sumbitch that could barely get along with but a few people.
Right.
Turns out there's tons of people out there like us. There's no accident why Brian and I are still friends after all these years. Very similar. We managed to just mesh right. It works, but not a lot of people have that luxury. Not easy to live with. My wife can tell you that, and that's why I'm so, again, lucky, because if you can find somebody that can put up with your ass, that's all marriage is too. Compromise and putting up with somebody else that'll put up with your shit.
Yeah. Well, I think with you and me, it's different. I don't think I don't know how it is for you, but there's more understanding on my part of things that you do that might irritate others than there is with other people in my life. And so like maybe less judgment, not even compassion or empathy, just like understanding, okay, well, he does that like I do this, right?
Yeah.
It's the same things we have going on in our heads. And so it's not things that might be a big deal to other people aren't so much.
And I've told you this before, for some reason, for me, the other thing for me is not just the ADHD, but the narcissistic personality disorder. I take personal, my brain takes personal offense to things, anything. Like the computer crashing is a personal attack on my brain, and it gets pissed. So Brian doesn't push those buttons. I don't, can't say why for sure, but he never really pushed those buttons. So it works out that way.
See.
And I may have pushed his buttons in the past, but he's got the capability to shrug it off. And he's never come to me and said, "Man, you pushed my buttons," or "You're being an asshole." He's never said any of those things to me. And he may have had those feelings, but he's never said them.
I'm sure you've ticked me off at least once in our friendship, but
it's
never been anything that I've been like,
if anybody, dude, I know I can piss people off. I used to love to do it as a sport. Yeah. So yeah, it would not surprise me if I did it more than once. But yeah, sometimes things just work out that way. It's weird. If you believe in astrology, y'all should also know that we're both Aquarius, 2 weeks apart. Birth, literally, is only 2 weeks apart in age. So if you believe in that, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I don't believe in it, but I don't know. I can't say it doesn't exist or has some merit. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm not a huge believer in it, but at the same time, I noticed like a lot of my favorite people fall under specific signs. Same
here.
Libras and Virgos are some of the easiest people to get along with for me.
Yeah.
Leos, small doses, right?
Yeah, I think I was going to say the Leo. No, right out. That was the last girlfriend before the wife. Right out. That bitch was crazy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know that I don't believe it necessarily. There's a whole lot of truth in it, but it's just what you pay attention to, maybe.
Well, and another thing we've talked about in ADHD is pattern recognition, and I've always prided myself on having good pattern recognition and being aware of my environment, overly aware of my environment all around me. I completely forgot where I was going with that thought. It was something. I know what I was going to say. I do know what.
Gotcha.
I had noticed that for me, it's the people between December and February-ish, close to within, because December you're not going to catch any Aquarius. Really, most of January you won't till like 2 days before my birthday. I think it's the 21st for January. But I noticed just people I like will have birthdays in there, like you said. Like Rob Zombie. I've always loved Rob Zombie's work and stuff, and January 14th, I think, birthday. It's just weird that I'll start noticing patterns like that. Then you start to think, well, hey, maybe there is some merit to this. I don't know if it's astrology or whatever, but there certainly is some merit to maybe what time of year we're born. Maybe it just puts us in tune with each other in a certain way. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's so much we don't understand in life, man. Just with our, here we are talking about just stuff within ourselves, mental stuff that we barely understand. The universe is a whole other ball of wax.
Well, let me drop this on you.
Drop it
How
on
about
me.
reality? Okay.
A dose of reality.
Just reality. Here's the thing most people don't understand about reality. I've heard people talk about it so much since 2000, 2010 or whatever. We as humans cannot experience reality directly. It is impossible. Light comes on, we see the light, our brain processes it.
Mm-hmm.
We touch something, same thing happens.
Takes a second.
Not necessarily the eyes. Yeah. Well, I mean, our brains are always processing whatever the input is. Yeah. So, I mean, if somebody was to come and tell you, well, the reality of this is X, it's like, I mean, what makes you the expert,
Well, you tapped into why we're at where we're at in the great divide in our culture right now, because you have this brain X thinks and sees the world one way. Then you have this brain X, looks and sees the world in another point of view.
Right.
And then you have some that kind of can do both. Rare people. I try to be, and I say I'm not very good at it. It's very hard. It is very hard to be middle of the road in this day and age, anyway.
And the crazy thing is, I don't want to go on that. All right. Next thing.
Still on ADHD. His ADHD spidey sense just went off. It's the digression. It was, digression. It's coming for your soul. Losing things. You lose things a lot?
That's one of the things that I've adjusted my thought patterns and personality for. It did happen a lot when I was a kid. Okay. And it still happens sometimes, but I'm a lot more aware.
The mad panic, like trying to find your keys or wallet when you're already late. Yeah, so I don't necessarily lose things, just losing things. But yeah, I'll set something down, mainly my douche whistle. I'll set this sumbitch down all the time. And my wife, it's time to go. And then I'm like, I run around the house. Where's my douche whistle? Here it is.
Yeah.
Right where I left it 5 minutes ago. Just can't remember,
I don't know. I've always had a feeling that weed had an effect on that as well. It always seemed to be.
Yeah, that's what I used to think.
It always seemed to me to be more prevalent in my life when I was self-medicating than when I wasn't. But, trade one problem for others, right?
Yeah. Oh, believe me, dude, where I'm at now compared to where I was in my 20s, it's like night and day.
Mm.
Disorganization. Utter chaos that descends on any surface you happen to be near. You like that?
So I used to thrive on chaos. I was, people talk about like mad scientist or whatever, but most of us have a pattern. It's like everybody looks at our house, car, room, whatever, and just sees like this mess, this total just tornado of shit. And yet you ask us to find something, and we're like, yeah, that's right
exactly
here.
Where it's at. Yep.
Right.
It's our filing cabinet of chaos for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could turn and I could, if I turned my camera around to show you all this desk just right in front of me, you would be like, what in the fucking hell? I mean, it's just chaos right in front of me, but not everything is. Now, again, we live in a small house, so yeah, it does tend to look a little cluttered. That's why I've been cleaning the hell out of it, but yeah, it's part of it. The little bit of chaos around, but I can't stand living in a pile of stuff. Like I've seen people's rooms that just like a trash bag exploded.
Same. And I'm the same way. Like me personally, I really love having like a clean, organized space. Especially when it comes to work or something I have to do on a regular basis that isn't necessarily engaging.
Yep.
Or if I do have to focus on something, a lack of clutter helps me just feel comfortable. But at the same time, my car, for example, I've got so much crap in my car, and people are like, it's a 4-door car, nobody can get in the back. There's nothing in the seat, but in the floorboards, it's all kind of stuff. And it's not trash, it's like I've got a roll of toilet paper in case it's ever needed.
Dude,
roadside stuff.
I have that same shit, but it's in my car. I mean, it's in my trunk. Like, gotcha. So you know how bad I used to be with it. Like my car had everything. So we basically lived in our cars when we were younger. And I had everything in there. Well, now that I'm old and I got a nicer car, I'm completely anal about how the car looks on the inside and washing it all the time. So the interior of the car is immaculate. I try to keep it as immaculate as possible. The trunk, it's not unimmaculate, but I got like a big thing of toilet paper in there, like for emergencies, a big thing of paper towels. Can't even think of the name. Tools? Yeah, tools. I feel like a tool right now. I couldn't even think of the word tool. Tools and shit, just whatever I think might come off good in an emergency. I still want to put together a go bag for me and my wife. That's like the other thing I want to keep in there too, just like with clothes.
That's one of the things in my truck.
Yeah, I got to get that together, man. batteries, good flashlights, all the essentials, knives, flints, everything you need to survive.
Yeah.
Now more than ever, it might be necessary to just jump in that car and head somewhere. Hunker down and hope for the best.
We'll see.
That took a grim turn. Hyperfocus. Hyperfocus. That's the fourth one here and the last one on this little list. How about
that's
like watching
one for me.
Yeah, hyperfocus is like everybody. That's like pretty much like the all-star for ADHD, I think, is the hyperfocus. Watching a movie, this is an example, watching a movie and then spend hours researching said movie. That's a fine example of hyperfocus. I hyperfocus for months on stuff, and I grow weary of it.
Right. I'm the same. It's less common now because of my whole deal.
Yeah.
What's going on internally with me?
Yeah.
But yeah, same way. You know, I'd find something and just be obsessed with it for months and just spend up to 20 hours a day. I would have nights where I wouldn't sleep. You know, researching, working on something to do with that field, and then eventually burn out. Right.
Yeah. A lot of us are jacks of all trades, master of none. We know a lot of shit, but we're not masters at it. I know I am. I ridiculous mad skills on all kinds of shit. And it's all stuff that I could take a job doing and fill in the gaps easily with hands-on experience. So I enjoy that. And I've been like that way since I was a kid, man. When if they had like guys that were doing road work or construction or whatever, you know, they would almost always back in the day, because it was a different time, folks. People weren't so litigious. They would let us work, and I would, or at least me, I'd come in and try and work, and they'd let me work. They didn't care. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I had to get in the mix, be involved. I had to learn. I just wanted to learn, man. My brain was always wanting to soak in everything. I need to know how to do this. I need to know how to do that. What if I need to know that in life down the road? It's the same reason I keep shit. You know, you always have that little thing. I ain't gonna need that. Should I throw that out? I might need it. You know, you never know. Same thing with my brain. I was just filling it with you never know stuff, and now you know me long enough to know. I always say I'm full of useless information. This never know information. Never know.
I don't know if this would be a good therapy thing, but for me, I look at stuff like that as like a save point in a game, right? Because it's knowledge you have, and at some point you will more likely get back to it and build on that. Maybe in a different vector, maybe in the same, maybe something just related to it. I had a perfect example in mind, but ADHD.
Blew it right out, didn't you?
Yeah, but guitar is probably a good example, right?
Guitar is a great example for me, man. Again, that sumbitch is sitting right there. I did touch it. I told you about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Right. Played it like one night, and I thought maybe that was gonna get it going. Didn't. Yeah. I got the drums sitting in there that have got to be played. I played on them a couple weeks ago, man. I have so much going on. I want this house to be clean right now. It's such a focus of mine. I was doing good for a week there, but that's kind of fallen by the wayside now for a minute. Well, the gloves came in today. I've been waiting on some black gloves because I told you, man, I'm getting OCD. Now I don't want to touch shit. I don't want to touch some nasty. I used to not care too much, depending. Still, I think some PTSD got kicked in the other day when I had some boneless winglets with barbecue sauce all over them, man. I can't stand eating ribs. This goes back to my childhood. I can't stand eating ribs or chicken wings or anything with shit on it that you're going to get all over your face and shit. I cannot stand like having to sit there and pull off a paper towel or a wet wipe every time I take a bite. Because I might want some of my... Okay, so here's the problem. Like, you don't just have that shit. You got the side of corn or mashed potatoes or what the fuck ever you got there. So you eating these
Maybe
ribs.
You don't want some barbecue sauce in your corn, huh?
Well, it's not that. No. Then I go and grab the fork. How am I going to eat the shit? What am I going to start shoving it in my face? No, I got to grab the fork. Well, now the fork's got shit all over it. Right? Unless I take the time out to do what I just said, do all the cleaning. So I start doing all the cleaning and everything. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This is bullshit. It's too much work for such a little bit of meat, especially on ribs. Buffalo wings, you get a tiny little bit more meat. But man, ribs, I'm just not a fan of, man. You're working way too hard for little reward.
So I've got something kind of like that. My thing is pork and shredded chicken. Mm-hmm. I pretty much try to stay away from that until the end of the day meal because it likes to get stuck in your teeth and shit. And I'm like, if I'm going to eat that, I'm going to want to floss like soon.
Yeah, no doubt. I know exactly what you mean. See, here I am relating to you. About to tell you a story. About to tell you about my fucking little noodles I eat. They have the little fucking onion shits. Oh, and also the teriyaki sauce I have has a sesame seeds in it. Them motherfuckers, especially this fucking giant hole in my tooth that I gotta get fixed. I get a sesame seed in that motherfucker. Dude, the first time I didn't even notice it one day, I went walking around with that motherfucker, just laughing. That motherfucker, sesame seed buried in that sumbitch. Oh, man. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm self-conscious.
Doing a little dance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm self-conscious about this motherfucker lately because it's just gotten ridiculous. And you know, I'm dying to go to the dentist over it. It's just not that simple for me, but I am going to get it done. But yeah, I mean, like, I was like, oh God, man, I can't imagine like what people were seeing when I was smiling because it used to not bother me, but now all of a sudden it's just like I think it's this when we started the podcast because I'm sitting here looking at myself every week, at least once a week, smiling, which I very rarely, I mean, I do, but I don't see myself smiling.
Usually smile like this, like.
Yeah, it's a closed mouth smile. You barely see it.
Yeah.
But on here, you'll see a lot more. And if I'm laughing hard, you're going to see it. No doubt. It's going to happen. So there it is. Hopefully I'll get it.
Same with me. I think you're right. I kind of have the same thing about being conscientious about my teeth because I'm looking at my face for like hours a week.
I used to be so prideful of them too, man. Like I have all my teeth, I drank a lot of milk as a kid and that's probably why they're still here and all that shit. And then I did this actually. This was, cause I would clean my own teeth. I hadn't been to the dentist in years and years. And so I would take and clean the plaque off my own teeth and try and keep over and whatever and do right anyway by them. And, it was just discolored to where I thought it was plaque and I ripped the damn enamel right off of it.
Oof.
It was a little bit smaller then. Yeah.
Yeah.
It don't hurt. Don't hurt at all. But it's
I mean, it's not what do you ever get those grimaces where it's not like something necessarily hurts, but it's just like it hits that weird part of your brain that's like, ugh.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Yeah. Exactly what you well, I think as far as ADHD, we've probably hit enough of those points. I got more stuff here, but we're going to be talking about this stuff over and over again, as long as we continue this on.
Yeah.
Potentially years. So it's not like we're going to be missing out.
Well, there were a couple of things I wanted to bring up.
I think that's what I was talking about earlier. You said you wanted to bring up something. I think this is what you were going to bring up.
Yeah. Well, I did mention some stuff about possible comorbidities and stuff with ADHD. One thing that I did find out recently is a lot of that hyperactive part of ADHD that's present in children isn't so much diagnosed later in life because it gets put off into another area of our brain to where it presents as anxiety. And so that's why a lot of ADHD people will commonly be prescribed or diagnosed as depressive and anxiety disorder.
Well, that explains why I was drinking coffee because I was not hyperactive, but only because I was drinking coffee all the time. My mom let me drink coffee from young as I can remember. She, I used to remember other adults asking, "Are you giving him coffee?" Oh yeah, he loves the shit. Doesn't he drive you crazy? And no, he's quite calm when he has his coffee.
Right.
How did I know? Right. How did I know that it was all because of the ADHD? Yeah, I should have been fucking climbing the walls, man, as much as I drank. Yeah.
And the other thing, just comorbidities, like you mentioned, autism. I've always suspected that I've been a high functioning autist. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how high functioning that can qualify considering where I'm at now.
But yeah, I believe that too. I hadn't been tested, and I imagine probably would.
Well, I don't know how accurate it is. There is a like UK, healthcare partners type thing that has a pretty exhaustive test. It's a good indicator. But basically, all test I ever took was like borderline or high probability, on that border between those two. So, obviously, the thing is with a lot of these types of tests, I don't know what to call them, but they're always like the check boxes with like strongly agree, kind of agree, kind of disagree,
I hate
whatever
those things, man.
They're all laid out in the same order, and a lot of times they ask a lot of the same stuff, whether it's depression, anxiety, autism, like any type of a mental thing that they're testing for. The questions often are a lot the same.
Yeah, they're trying to catch you out.
Yeah. And so it's really hard to answer these. Like I recently had to fill out some anxiety and depression stuff for my therapist, and it's weird because like I'd go through and I'd check something off and I'd be like, okay, I'll put this number and put a plus beside it because maybe this question could have been different or whatever, right? And then I'll go back and take another test or something, the same test, something similar, whatever, and it's like, wow, that's like another 10 points than what I had before. But you have to think about the questions that it's asking you and kind of gauge like where you're at now versus where you've been, your history versus now.
Yeah.
But also how these things present in your life that you may not be aware of. And that's usually a big thing for me. Like I'll get a chance to think about it and be like, oh, well, maybe I am more nervous about stuff that I can't get away from, but I don't really process it because it's been that way for forever.
Yeah. I got you.
But yeah, those are the two main things I was thinking of.
Right on. I got going on here. If there's anything else to add, really, for today, probably not. I think what you said was good into it. We had a good bit of different ideas. There's so much more.
There is. We are by no means professionals. This is all,
just relating
our personal stuff,
relating our experiences, stuff we see on the web. That kind of, because I love to self-reflect. My therapist loves that about me, that I'm constantly thinking about myself. She just absolutely loves it about me, and I'm glad that she said that, man. Loved hearing it for some reason.
Super useful for a therapist, I'm sure.
Yeah.
My therapist is going to hate me because I go the other direction, as opposed to self-reflecting and thinking about me. I'm like, give me something else to focus on, please.
Yeah. And I don't mind telling people what's wrong with me. Like I know all my faults, and I will be happy to tell you what they are. In this age, I don't really give a damn what people think about me anymore. So I'm happy to tell them, my faults and let them judge whether or not they want to tolerate them or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people, like for me, I usually judge you on first contact. It doesn't mean right or not, but that's what I do. So usually if you don't impress me on the first time we meet, we probably never talking again. Don't have much tolerance for unnecessariness.
I think that's an intuitiveness that naturally comes with our disorder.
Yeah.
A lot of times you don't necessarily have the tools to, function normally, I guess.
Right.
There's probably a better way to put that, but so you work a lot off of intuition, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, dude. My intuition is. I don't know what I would do without it, honestly, man. I can't tell you how many times I've been right about shit. I know. Like, I've said it and I've been right about it. I don't think I'm right about everything, y'all. I'm not saying that. But if I feel that I get that gut feeling, and if I go against it, I'm a fool every time. I know that for me personally.
Well, just keep in mind that's going to bring into effect that thing that I had spoken about before, where you've experienced some kind of a traumatic experience, in the past, and you're putting up this wall or barrier that's going to let other people think that you're some kind of a raging asshole.
Yeah, which people do. And people have thought that my whole life for sure.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I try to temper it, so I'm like, okay, let me pick out the specific things that are a threat and a danger, and just be fine with everything else.
My biggest problem is just saying everything so matter of fact. I don't beat around the bush with people. I can't empathize with people, so I don't protect their I don't protect their feelings. I mean, it's just, you need to know what I need to tell you, and there's no sense in sugarcoating it. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
No. I just, and more often than not, I'm always, coming off as an asshole when I don't really intend to be. I'm just trying to be. And my mom's the worst too, dude. I probably got it from her. She'll just say stuff to people she doesn't barely know, just thinking she's talking, and will say just the rudest things to people, just because she's just being matter of fact and just talking, Yeah. She just doesn't get it, but I can recognize it in myself. I don't think she could.
Maybe.
And of course, how much of this do we get from our parents too? That's the other thing.
Yeah, and it could be hereditary, it could be environmental, who knows.
I am convinced my mother has narcissistic personality disorder. I'm not sure about the ADHD. She may not have any of that, but she is definitely got to do with this, because her and I are two peas in a pod when it comes to all those symptoms. No doubt.
Right.
So I even showed her the thing, and I didn't say it. I wanted to so bad, man. I wanted to tell her, yeah, all those things. They sound just like me.
Look at this.
These are just like you too. I wonder though if really she's reading that thing going, holy motherfucking shit. If he knew that I was just like, I do know, Mom. I do know. But anyway.
Well, that seems like a good up note to kind of close this one out on. Yeah,
absolutely does. Yep. So guys,
thanks everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching episode 10, another one in the bag. And please remember, as always, to click the subscribe button and the like button. We really need some subscribers.
Throw us some comments.
It's the only thing that didn't go up. I looked today. I never looked before the show. And I looked today, and I always have little up arrows. It's always positive. Yay! But today it gave me the first thing. It was like, you've only had +4 subscribers in the last 28 days. So it was sad about it.
Until you can hit the algo, it will continue to taper off. So that's one of the reasons, comments will help us out a lot. Personally, I just love hearing what people have to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Somebody else's channel that was our version of WTTO, right?
Yeah.
Or,
exactly.
Stuff like that. I love reading that stuff.
Yeah, that was Forrest. That was a guy I went to school with. I want to hear from anybody, man. We've got some people out there watching us. I'm sure people aren't subscribed that still catch it. So please, don't want to miss anything. We're only getting better. We promise. We're trying our hardest to get a little better every time. Well, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Have a great night.
Peace.